Hi gang, welcome back to the farm on this Holy Week. We're going to talk about another tree today. This tree is called the Redbud tree, which many of you are probably familiar with. It's also sometimes called the Judas tree. And so let's find out how this tree reminds us of something that happened during Holy Week.
Judas Iscariot was one of Jesus' 12 disciples, and he was so trusted that he was the person in charge of the disciples' money. No one ever suspected that he would turn against Jesus. But during that last week of Jesus' life, Judas betrayed his friend and teacher. Perhaps he was disappointed that Jesus wasn't being the mighty warrior king he thought the people needed, or perhaps he was trying to force Jesus into overthrowing the Romans' rule. Or maybe, as they say, the devil made him do it. We don't really know why he did it, but Judas went to the religious authorities and asked how much they would pay him if he betrayed Jesus to them. They paid him 30 pieces of silver. And so for 30 pieces of silver, Judas led the crowd of armed men to the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus was praying. He greeted Jesus with a kiss, which was the prearranged signal. When that happened, the men grabbed Jesus and arrested him, and all the disciples ran away in fear. The next morning, when Judas realized that Jesus had been condemned to die, he was horrified at what he had done. He tried to return the money to the religious authorities, telling them that he had sinned by betraying an innocent man. They told him that was his problem, and they refused to take the money. He threw the 30 pieces of silver down in the temple, and he went out and hanged himself. There is a legend about the tree that Judas hanged himself on. Supposedly, it was one of the redbud trees, like this one. At that time, these trees were supposedly strong, stately trees with pure white flowers on them. But after Jesus hanged himself on one of them, the trees became small, and the tiny little hummingbird-shaped flowers blushed dark pink in embarrassment over Judas's betrayal of Jesus. People began to call this tree the Judas tree. If you look outside, you will see lots of these redbud trees blooming right now, because they always bloom in time for Easter. So every time you see one of these trees, remember how Judas betrayed Jesus, and let it remind you to stay true to Jesus, because he has always been loyal to you, and he always will. By the way, the leaves of this tree, when they come out, are heart-shaped. So let that remind you of how much Jesus loves you. Thanks for listening. Check back tomorrow for another Holy Week lesson from the farm. God bless you.